I'm really excited to introduce Dr. Bob Fetter. He is a general adult psychiatrist who's recently retired and active in a number of climate groups, including Climate Psychiatry Alliance. And we, reflecting on both the pandemic and I think what was a really hard year, if you're a climate activist, we thought it just having a session where we could pause and engage in some self-care and learn some new techniques for self-care could be a really good opportunity for us. So Dr. Fetter, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thanks very much, Lisa. Boy, this has been quite a couple of days, a lot of important information packed in, and I hope everybody's got a little bit of brain power and energy left for this session. I'm going to be talking today about how being active in the climate movement can affect us psychologically, wear us down a bit, cause us to be stressed, and what sorts of things we can do to take care of ourselves and try and be resilient in the face of those things. Let's see here. I'm trying to, there we go. As Lisa mentioned in that introduction, I am a psychiatrist. I'm active in a number of climate groups, including the ones shown on the slide here. And work in those groups can often be draining and somewhat discouraging and result in stressful feelings. And stress is experienced differently by all of us. These are the ways that stress can affect people at different times and different people. And specifically in regard to work in the climate field, we can sometimes feel anxious when we're worried about whether what we're doing is having any impact or not. We get anxious about what the world is going to be like in the future, given the things that are happening with global warming and climate. We can become irritable when we have to deal with other organizations or other people who make our work harder. We can feel sad when we feel that we're not accomplishing much. When that sadness gets very intense, it can make us feel depressed. We can sometimes get angry when we encounter forces that are opposing us and making our work more difficult. We can get pessimistic when we feel that our work isn't going to be helpful. We can get fearful when we think about what the future may look like and what sorts of things might happen if we're not successful in our work. We can get fatigued when we feel that we've done all we can and we're not sure how much more energy we've got for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. We can feel despairing when we get especially concerned about things going on. We can feel grief when we think about things that we've already lost in regard to climate. We can feel guilty when we feel that we've done things that we shouldn't have done, or we haven't done things that we should have done, like get solar panels on our roof or buy an electric car. We can sometimes feel powerless when, again, it feels like all our efforts are for naught. And we can sometimes feel hurt when other people have disparaged our efforts or things about us or things that we're trying to do. And there are probably other feelings that some of you may have felt at one time or another when the work of trying to do something about the climate gets stressful for you. Now, there are many things that we can do to try and feel resilient in the face of all of this, and to try and keep our mental health up. And those things are listed here. Relaxation training, which I'll be getting into in much more detail later in the session today, is very helpful in terms of reducing feelings of anxiety and fear in particular, and just helping our overall sense of well-being. Meditation, which I'll also be getting into in more detail, is a technique that many people find helpful in reducing stress of any kind, and again, increasing their feelings of well-being. Mindfulness, you may have heard a lot about lately. This has become much more popular in the last 5 years or so. Another technique that is centered around thinking in the present rather than the past or the future, and also incorporates techniques like relaxation and meditation. Strengthening spiritual beliefs is extremely helpful in this regard. Any spiritual or religious beliefs that you have, drawing on those can be very helpful. Having a healthy diet is extremely important for good mental health. In addition to physical health, we know that poor dietary habits can adversely affect mental health in a number of ways. So always having a healthy diet is very important. Avoiding alcohol and other substances of potential abuse or mind-acting drugs, avoiding these things as much as possible is important. These substances provide some temporary relief or some temporary feelings of well-being, but these are very deceptive in the sense that all of these substances have negative health impacts, and all involve some type of withdrawal effects when you stop using them, even for a few hours, so that you often end up in worse shape than you were to begin with when you start using these things. So again, their avoidance is very important. Exercise is another very important part of leading a healthy mental life. In addition to a healthy physical life, there's been lots and lots of evidence accumulating over the last couple of decades that exercise has direct benefits on mental health. It causes the release of endorphins in the brain, which help us feel better, help us think more clearly. And regular exercise is extremely important in terms of reducing mental stress and improving your mental health. Finally, experiencing the natural world as much as possible has been shown to be very helpful for mental health, and especially for people that are involved in climate work. And this offers a way of reinforcing what we're all working for and the benefits of improving climate around us. And experiencing the natural world as much as possible can take whatever form works for you. Hiking with friends, kayaking or canoeing, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, beachcombing, more beachcombing, and simply, finding a beautiful place that you can either be alone in or with people that you care about, and experiencing the beauty of it. I think you can see the sort of benefit that this activity has, in that I think you feel just a little bit more relaxed and a little better after viewing these images of the natural world compared to viewing all the black and white verbiage on screen that you've been looking at all day. Strong social supports are also very important in improving our mental resiliency. These are from various sources, and it's important to have strong supports in as many different areas as you can, including family, friends, faith groups, and neighbors. And for those who are seeking additional, specifically climate-oriented support, or who are having trouble finding enough supports in these other areas, there are a number of climate-oriented support groups that exist now. I've got them listed here: Carbon Conversations, Climate Cafes, Climate Cares, Good Grief Network, and the Work That Reconnects. These are all groups that are available either online or as in-person groups in most areas in the country. You can get connected with these groups just by entering their names into a Google search, and you'll be sent to their websites and ways of joining local groups. These are not action-oriented groups. These groups do not get involved in climate activities. They are simply places for people to get together and talk about their concerns about climate change, talk about what they are thinking about in regard to the world, and helping you feel that you're not alone with these issues. So these are groups that I would recommend if increased social supports in this area are things that you're looking for. And finally, as you've been getting the message throughout the last couple of days, the most important thing you can do to feel good about what you're doing is to continue being actively engaged in climate groups that are involved in climate activities, and feel that you're engaged socially with other people in a meaningful activity that fits with your values around climate and helps you have a feeling that you are involved in important work and that you are accomplishing things. So with the remaining time we have, I want to actually provide a little education and training in a couple of relaxation techniques, transcendental meditation and progressive muscular relaxation. So the first one that we're going to do is transcendental meditation. This is a technique that's been around for hundreds of years. It was originally primarily practiced by yogis in India, and kind of found its way into the West in the 60s and afterward, and has become a technique that's used by a lot of people. A lot of practitioners in the mental health area have found this very helpful as a way of reducing stress, reducing anxiety, and increasing feelings of well-being. Now, to do transcendental meditation, you need what's called a mantra. And a mantra is simply a simple one-syllable word that has either a neutral or a pleasant meaning or connotation associated with it. These are 5 of the most common mantras that I put up on the screen here. 1, love, God, all, and Om. And you can choose one of these or any other, similar word that you prefer. And this word is used in the transcendental meditation process, which I'll be instructing you in now. Now, to do this, you need to be in a comfortable position. Most of you are probably sitting. Just be sure that you're sitting comfortably, that there's nothing under stress in your body right now. If you want to lie down when you do this, that's fine as well, but you should be in a comfortable position and in a relatively quiet place where you're not going to be distracted by loud noises or sounds. So let's get into that comfortable position. And now I just want you to think about your breathing. I want you to breathe naturally. Don't breathe any faster or slower than you would otherwise. And I just want you to think about your breathing. Concentrate on each inspiration and expiration, and simply think about your breathing. You can either do this with your eyes opened or your eyes closed, whichever seems to work best for you. If you tend to get distracted easily by visual stimuli, then it's best to close your eyes, but you don't have to keep your eyes closed. And for those people who are going to keep their eyes open, I'm just going to put a kind of a pleasant neutral scene on the screen for you to look at. And again, just simply focus on your breathing for a little bit. Okay, now what I would like you to do is each time you have an exhalation or each time you expire, think of your mantra word. Just kind of say that mantra word each time you breathe out. And again, breathe naturally. Don't try to breathe any more deeply or any faster or any slower than you would ordinarily. Just, breathe naturally. And each time you exhale, think of your mantra word. Again, just sitting comfortably, breathing naturally, and each time you exhale, just think of your mantra. Now, that's really about all there is in terms of the actual mechanics of transcendental meditation. But it's something that has to be practiced for a while before it's having its intended effect. I doubt that any of you who haven't done this before, experienced or accomplished too much in these few minutes that we've been doing it. But you should ideally try and do this for at least 15 or 20 minutes a day, and a couple of times a day if you have, the time available to do that. And eventually, after you've been doing this for 3 or 4 times, you should start noticing that you're reaching a very relaxed state and your mind is kind of empty. I mean, the goal of transcendental meditation is to reach a state of oneness and mindlessness. And when you start feeling that kind of a feeling, that you are at one with the world, that you're not really thinking of much else, and that you feel a sense of well-being with it, then you have started to achieve what transcendental meditation is all about. And the more you do this, the better you will get at it. And hopefully, after you've been doing it for a couple of weeks, you will have started noticing something. And the more you do this, the better you get at it. And how much you do it for really depends on you, how much it's helping you and how much time you have available for it. There are some people who meditate just 5 or 10 minutes a day. There are other people who meditate for an hour or several hours a day to obtain the benefits from this. And this really, varies a lot and depends on the individual. Now, this is a technique that is really very inwardly and mentally and cognitively focused. And it works well for some people. It doesn't work well or even at all for other people. And, you know, it depends on the kind of person you are and, you know, whether you're amenable to this type of technique, how much benefit you get from it. There is another technique called progressive muscular relaxation, which is a very different technique. This is a very active technique that involves active muscle activity. Seems to, you know, tend to work better for people who are more kind of action and doer or outwardly oriented. So I'm going to take you through this technique now as well. And, you know, you can decide for yourself which of the two of these you would want to try and pursue more, which seems like it's more you or more working for you. The progressive muscular relaxation is a somewhat newer technique. This was started in the 1920s or 1930s by a physician and has been gradually used more and more in the mental health field. And again, for this, you want to be in a comfortable position, feel comfortable, be in an area that is not noisy, where you're not going to get distracted by any auditory stimuli. And you can do this either with your eyes open or with your eyes closed, whichever seems to work best for you. Now, in this technique, you go throughout the body, from your head down to your toes, alternately tensing and then relaxing various muscle groups. And what you want to do is really focus on the relaxation phase. You'll be tensing muscles and then relaxing them. And what you need to try and do is really focus on the feeling of the relaxation, what that feels like in your body, what it feels like in your mind. Focus mostly on the relaxation as we go through this. Now we're going to start at the top with the eyes, and I want you to close your eyes as tightly as you can. Really scrunch down with your eyes. Close them as tightly as you can. Keep them tightly closed, really tight as you can close your eyes. Now I want you to slowly relax them and just open them a little bit, and focusing on that feeling that you're getting when you're relaxing. Let's just try that one more time. Scrunch your eyes down really tight, as tight as you can get them, really tight, tighter. Hold that tightness, and now just easily relax them and focus on what that feels like. The feelings of the that are associated with relaxing those eyes. Okay, now we're going to move to the mouth, and I want you to open your mouth as widely as possible, like you're in the dentist chair. Just really wide, open up real wide, big as you can get it. And now just gradually relax and bring your mouth back to kind of a neutral spot. And again, focusing on the feelings associated with the relaxation. Now we're going to move to the shoulders, and I want you to shrug your shoulders as high up as you can get them, as tight as you can, really tight. Tighten those shoulders up, tighter, even tighter. And now just relax and focus on what that feels like, that relaxation. Okay, now we're going to go to the upper arms, and I want you to bring your arms up like this and scrunch them real tight, like you're trying to crush something in your biceps there. Really, really tight. Tight as you can. Tighter, really tight. And now just relax. And focus on that feeling that you get when you relax those muscles. Now we're going to straighten our arms out as tight as you can in front of you. Straighten them, keep them really tight and straight, really tight. And now just gradually relax them. Now we're going to go down to the fingers, and I want you to make a really tight fist with both fists. Tight as you can, really tight. Dig your fingernails into your palms and really tighten those fists. Tight as you can, and now just relax them. Focusing again on the relaxation feelings that you get in that relaxation phase. Okay, now we're going to go to the upper legs, and I want you to bring your knees up as high as you can get them. Bring your knees up real high, keeping the rest of your legs bent really tight, and just relax and let them down again. Okay, now this next one may be a little tough depending on what kind of chair you're in, but I want you to tighten your legs. Bend your knees and tighten them as tight as you can. Tighten your lower leg against your thigh. And now just relax both legs. Okay, now we're going to straighten our legs out. Straighten our knees and straighten our legs out. Legs should be totally straight and pretty tight, like you were holding up 100 pounds with each leg. Really tight. And then just slowly relax. Okay, now we're going to point our toes up at our head. Bring your toes up, point them towards your head. Point them really, really high up, tight as you can. Get those feet stretched. And then just relax. Focusing again mostly on the feelings associated with the relaxation phase. Okay, now I want you to point your toes down. Point them towards the floor. Press them against the floor if you're actually touching the floor. And point those toes down as hard as you can with your whole foot, really tight, and just relax. Now we're going to scrunch our toes. Scrunch your toes like they were your fists. And scrunch them as tight as you can, really tight, tighter. And now just relax them. So that is a progressive muscular relaxation exercise. And this is something that you can do on your own, just the way that we've done it. If you, would prefer having somebody telling you what to go through, you can find some exercises like the one that we just did either on YouTube, or you can go to Amazon and buy a CD or a DVD of somebody doing an exercise like this. But it's relatively simple, and if you just remember what we did, you don't really have to buy one of these external sources. And this, like transcendental meditation, is something that takes a while to practice and to learn before you really start getting the benefit of it. Again, I would recommend that you do this, go through that exercise that we just did. Take about 5 or 10 minutes to do it, and try and do that a couple of times a day. And initially, it may not feel like much is happening, or you're not really getting it. But after doing this for a week or maybe 2 weeks at the most, you really should start being able to identify a feeling of relaxation in your body and in your mind, this feeling that you're focusing on during the relaxation phase of this exercise. And eventually you should be able to just call up that feeling whenever you need it. So that when you're, when you're feeling tense or when you're feeling anxious or when you're feeling angry, you can think of that relaxation feeling that you've been able to identify, call that up, and that will make it impossible for you to be feeling these other negative feelings. It's kind of hard to feel the relaxation feeling that this creates with any of these other negative feelings that we identified simultaneously. And that's how progressive muscular relaxation works. Again, it's, it doesn't work for everybody. And there are some people, that do much better with this than transcendental meditation and vice versa. But most people can find one or the other of these techniques helpful, but they do require some time invested initially before they start working for you. But hopefully you can use these as a way of helping improve your mental health and helping you stay resilient and continuing to do all of the good work that you're doing. That's about all that I had to go through with you today or tell you today. I'd be happy to take any questions that people might have.
You can come off mute for classroom, because I think there are mics embedded around the classroom. Anybody have a question? Do you see that question, Bob? It says, thank you for this great presentation. Would love to see the list of techniques for resilience slide to remember all the techniques.
Okay, somebody wants to see the resilience slide again. All right, let me see if I can get that back up.
I'd just be curious as well. I mean, I think probably all of us have adopted some practice for self-care. Do folks feel comfortable sharing what works for you? I'm just curious. And I can start since I asked the question. Stanford actually paid for all of us. I think they were recognizing the mass physician burnout. So they offered us this free web-based mindfulness course where I learned like the 4-6 breathing technique, where you breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 6. Because to Bob's point, I've actually tried transcendental meditation. I spent years trying, and it just wasn't my thing. But the 4-6 breathing, I really like counting. And so I found that works for me really well. Does anybody else want to share the things that they do? And folks online as well, you can come off mute.
I find exercise and being in nature the most best for me. And I usually exercise outside, the two together.
Yeah, very similar. I live in a place where you're fortunate enough to have access to outdoors pretty easily, so getting from walking and running outside and trying to do yoga sometimes.
Hi all, this is Bonnie Hamilton from Fairfield, California, calling on from online. My thing is getting a good night's sleep is very, very helpful. And also dream work, and not always while asleep. Some of it is about imagery and with an intention. So awake dreaming, I guess you would call it. But I find it really helpful. And so I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I am not a physician, but I used to work in drug service crisis prevention actually in DC for a number of years, and started I have a Kriya and Looping Nidra practice, and then I appreciate the self-care technique.
I guess I can share, one thing I like to do is listen to music. So I really find that as a way do that. Sometimes I like to feel like more hyper music, sometimes that helps, and sometimes more calm music helps.
Oh, so for those that are online, Clarissa was sharing that she finds music and different types of music, depending. There are times when hyper music helps her calm down, and calmer music helps calm as well.
I have a question for Bob.
Just I think just speak loudly.
Okay. So are you, okay, a little self-revealing confession. I like to have a glass of wine with dinner, Bob. Are you saying don't have any alcohol at all?
Did you hear the question, Bob?
Well, yeah. There's a lot of controversy right now about how much alcohol is okay. And up until a year or two ago, I think there was a general feeling among physicians that a couple of drinks a day was okay. That as long as you didn't go beyond 2 drinks a day, then there was no apparent negative benefits of that, and there actually might have been some positive benefits because people who had 1 or 2 drinks of alcohol a day seemed to have lower cardiovascular risk than people who didn't drink at all. And there has been some more data that's come out in the last couple of years that was done with larger studies, with many larger groups of subjects and much better controls. And this research has indicated that no matter how much you drink, even small amounts, your overall health outcome is worse. So that if you look at large populations of people, their overall rate of various illnesses is higher, even if they have only 1 drink a day, compared to people with no drinks a day. I think this is the cardiovascular connection still holds. I think cardiovascular illness was the only class of illness that didn't increase with the first couple of drinks, but the overall health of people with cardiovascular illness was still worse. So that they did better from the cardiovascular standpoint, but they still had worse outcomes in every other health system that you looked at. So the thinking is changing in this field now that it's really the less alcohol, the better. In terms of the negative psychological or psychiatric effects of alcohol, it's a little hard to say exactly where that starts. I think certainly beyond 2 drinks a day, you are going to experience some withdrawal symptoms. If you're having a couple of, or let's say 3 drinks at night, in the morning, you're going to be a little more irritable because of that, because you're actually in a state of withdrawal at that point. So, I think if you're under 2 drinks a day, you're probably not doing your brain much damage, although you are killing some nerve cells, from other evidence that we have. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. So, generally the less the better. And, if 1 drink a day seems to be helping you manage the world, I wouldn't say you have to stop that. Daniel, did you have a question?
Well, I'm just answering the question. The stressor for me, and I mentioned this in the chat, is feeling overwhelmed, especially at the end of these 2 days, feeling like I don't know where I really should put my energy. I only have so much time and energy, and we just heard about, dozens and dozens and dozens of ways that we could be involved, that we could do the work. I get overwhelmed sometimes with trying to figure out where, how I can do my little bit and where I should put that energy. What I do to relieve my stress is I play with my grandchildren. I have the privilege of taking care of my two little granddaughters 2 days a week. And let me tell you, when you're playing with a 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, you cannot think about anything else. You're totally in the moment, and all day long, we have them both all day long, both 2 days in a row, and that's that's what I do. And I feel exhausted at the end of those 2 days, but I feel rejuvenated as well.
No, I think that's great. And I think, anybody who has the option to do that and has available grandchildren should definitely try and take advantage of that. I became a grandfather over the past year as well, and I agree. It's a totally involving and wonderful experience. Any other questions or comments from the folks on Zoom?
Thanks so much, Bob. We really appreciate you and these new techniques. So thank you.
You're welcome.